I took all 90 brawlers and put them in a massive race against the 100,000 health bot to see who has the fastest takedown time from the whole roster. And well, this is how it went. Shelly starts us off strong with a combo of hypers and supers all the way until she runs out of ammo before slowing down greatly due to her reload speed holding her back. Either way, she finishes the bot in a bit past 16 seconds, and this gets her in 22nd place out of the 90 current brawlers. Nita brings Hyper Bruce to the party, and she probably has one of the most linear damage progressions out of all brawlers due to the steady bear DPS, and she just barely loses to Shelly by a tenth of a second, landing her in 23rd place. Colt makes minimal use of his default attacks, but still keeps a constant flow of bullets on the bot throughout the duration of his trial, and the insane pressure is able to do a total of 100,000 damage in 14.5 seconds, scoring him 17th place. Bull gets to use Berserker and then combine his attack and super back and forth all the way to the end, but surprisingly enough, he takes longer than the 3 previous brawlers and ends up in 24th place. Brock immediately pushes the bot towards the wall so that his rockets cluster better, and then he just unloads multiple supers onto the bot before it gets taken down. His 10.4 seconds puts him in 13th place. El Primo drops a meteor right at the start, and as it lands, so does he, and then he just gets to work with punching. Even though he reloads his fists pretty quickly, they take a while to dish out and still do low damage, and he ends up taking over 23 seconds, scoring 38th place. Barley's options are super limited here, but he takes long enough to fully recharge his hypercharge just to use it all up again. He ends up throwing bottles at the bot for almost 27 seconds, and this puts him in 49th place. Poco? Yeah. He heals himself with his hyper super, and this makes the damage gear not work for him anymore, and then he spends the next eternity working on the health. Don't worry, I'll speed it up. He got dead last. Get it? Dead. Rosa surprisingly takes quite a bit of time to finish the job, but again, her super doesn't really make a strong impact on her damage. Given that she's limited to just attacks, she takes over 42 seconds and gets 70th place. Jessie cooks with Scrappy a lot more than she does with her own attacks, and the constant damage output lets her win in 19.3 seconds. This puts her in 31st place. Dynamite definitely had to play a bit of a luck game here with his cluster bomb supers, but when he pushes the bot into the wall, it makes it so much easier for the attacks to make contact. The bot goes boom in 12.95 seconds, and he gets 15th place. Tick spams a ton of mines and hyperheads and absolutely crushes the bot in 8.9 seconds. This speedy takedown puts him in 11th place overall. 8-Bit gets some good help with his relatively new hypercharge, and he just starts vaporizing the bot with lasers. He completes the task in over 15 seconds, scoring 19th place overall. Egg Rico uses his gadget first and then steps to the side to bounce hyper supers into the bot. He gets an endless flow of balls for the most part and kills the bot in under 10 seconds, and he scores 12th place. Daryl, bear with me, looks chaotic here, but this was like my fastest trial of many. I'm sure it could have been a bit faster, but recording 90 perfect trials in one day is a more difficult task than finding good randoms. Why am I still talking? He tied with another brawler for 28th place. Penny uses Salty Barrel and a Hyper Mortar, and she takes away half of the bot's health in under 5 seconds, but the momentum slows as she runs out of ammo and takes 12.25 seconds, putting her in 14th place. Carl's hypercharge wasn't as meta as I thought it was going to be, but it's still a lot better than just not having one. With nothing but a nerdy brain and a pickaxe, Carl placed himself in 27th place. Jackie had a really bad day. I know she swears a lot anyways, but after she hears this news, she's gonna be doing it a whole lot more. Her time was so slow that she got 86th place out of the 90 contestants. Gus, who legitimately didn't have a hypercharge when I recorded this, initially takes a quarter of the bot's health with this gadget, but after that he slows down majorly since he doesn't really have anything else to hit it with, and he takes 47 seconds and almost joins Jackie, getting 78th place. Bo gets slightly punished by the cooldown on his Chirpwire gadget, but in the end he cycles through to his second hyper super that finishes off the bot, and he starts the epics off pretty good, scoring 18th place. Luckily for Ems, the bot's giant hitbox enables her to stand still the entire time, reaching maximum range from her regular attack while keeping the bot within her super's range. She doesn't really have any purpose to run in and use a gadget, and she does pretty pretty okay for an area damaging brawler, but still gets 58th place. Stu's initial burst of damage does pretty good, but after that he begins to struggle since his supers don't stack. He also doesn't do all that much damage with his regular attack, and in the end he takes nearly a minute, getting 79th place. Piper has a pretty interesting approach because she's able to get off 3 hyper supers before the hypercharge ends, and once she does so, she launches away to fill up the next hypercharge to go back in and finish the job. This fabulous effort beats 20 seconds and puts her in 32nd place. Egg Pam is able to get a constant DPS from her turret and then a pretty solid damage per attack from her minigun. Luckily, Scrapsucker restores all of her ammo, boosting her speed by just a bit. She takes 24 seconds and lands in 40th place. For Frank's trial, I played both with and without the use of his super, and amazingly enough, the use of his super allowed him to complete the task about half a second faster. Regardless, he took 37 seconds anyways, and this time put him in 64th place. BB's took a lot of practice, but with the right scenario, she's able to set up a pretty satisfying hyper super spam where they hit the bot quite a few times, but once the hypercharge expires, her momentum decreases drastically. After that, she can't really restore that energy and she ends up taking 15.5 seconds, scoring 20th place. B told me she doesn't want to play the game where she backs up and maximizes the effect of her gadget, so we'll leave it at that. It wouldn't make all that much of a difference anyways, and she stings it to death in under 29 seconds, taking 51st place. A lot of people might like Moyo's approach for Nanny more, but I recorded this like a month ago, and that day I wasn't very smart, I guess. Kinda like your Edgar randoms. Either way, Nanny's orbs kill the bot in 26 seconds, and she gets 46th place. Speaking of the devil, we have Edgar himself now. Unfortunately, he heals himself to the point where the damage gear is no longer useful. After that, his time slows down significantly and he takes nearly 32 seconds to do 100,000 damage. In the end, Edgar places 56th out of all 90 brawlers. Drifts was really fun to do because he just gets an endless flow of supers that do massive damage. He beats the bot in a bit over 4 seconds and he places in the top 10. I'll reveal the leaderboard at the end of the video. Being optimal with Grom's attacks is a bit harder than it looks, so don't mind a bit of imperfection here. His somewhat slow reload speed surely punished him anyways, and he took nearly 35 seconds to finish. This put him in 59th place. Bonnie switches forms a few times, since her Bonnie form has a really slow reload speed. She hit it while she could, but she still took over 45 seconds to completely take down the boss, and to avoid boring you, it's super sped up. She got 74th place. Gale is able to hit the wider hitbox with all of his snowballs from his attack, and while doing more damage, this also charges his super a bit faster. Either way, he's not really a big target destroyer, and his snowballs put him in 55th place overall. Colette was really fast. She wins basically all of the damage challenges we ever do, and it's pretty justified. In case you're wondering, I did play her like 35 times just for the satisfaction, but unfortunately, none of them were under 2 seconds. She's obviously in the top 10. Belle is able to mark the bot right away, and then just spam attacks and such, and every now and then she drops a nest egg that probably just feels like getting hit with a napkin. Belle takes quite a while though. With over 46 seconds on her trial, she gets 75th place. Ash gets a little swarm of rats helping him, and they keep his rage at the highest it could go, and he just slashed the bot slowly but surely until it couldn't take the hits anymore. The garbage can man landed himself in 42nd place. Lola really does some damage here with her newly hypercharged ego. Once she's down to her last ammo, all of her abilities combined enabled her to do nearly 9,000 damage per attack, which helps her wipe out the boss robot quick enough to get her 33rd place. Sam yo-yos his knuckle busters for the duration of his hypercharge and essentially does half of the robot's health in that time. After that, he slows down his output just a bit before getting his second hypercharge ready and finishing off the bot. Sam gets 25th place. Mandy takes down the bot in 5 big booms thanks to her new hypercharge. Let's watch it again. Doing this much damage now makes Mandy so much more fun to use, and she does it in under 5 seconds, landing her a spot in the top 10. Maisie also takes down the bot in 5 big booms. She makes some pretty fun use out of her finish him gadget, and she plays it faster than Mandy, which also gets her a spot in the top 10. If I told you that Hank also kills the bot in 5 big booms, would you unsubscribe? Because he takes 6 supers to finish the bot. Nothing fun to say about that. He takes 2.35 seconds, and he also gets in the top 10. Pearl has a really fast initial burst of damage, but after she loses her cookie heat and ammo, it really begins to take a while. Towards the end, she fills up a second hypercharge, and this allows her to finish the task, and she ends up in 36th place. Interestingly enough, respawning Lori allows Larry to have an endless supply of ammo because otherwise Lori would just run out of ammo and his twin would also stop spamming. This was a fun trial though. The twins end up in 16th place. Angelo doesn't really have that great of an approach, but he is able to get a bunch of poison and swamps underneath the boss. Either way, Angelo takes a bit over 25 seconds and he ends up in 44th place. Barry is another brawler who loses his momentum somewhat quickly as he heals away his damage gear. Luckily though, he gets a lot of hyper supers off which do a lot of work. Barry takes almost 22 seconds and he ends up in 34th place. Shade only has his attacks. Even with all crucial hits, Shade takes 28 attacks and this puts him at almost 40 seconds, ultimately placing him in 66th place. Meeple has it even worse. Even with his damage increasing star power, he takes an eternity to reload his attacks and he takes over a minute to complete the task. Sadly for our little rule breaker, he ends up in 85th place. Mortis has a decent initial burst of damage which really just feeds his assassin status, but after he heals himself enough, he loses the boost from his damage gear. After that, his output decreases significantly and he's stuck slicing the bot for nearly a minute. This puts him in 80th place. Terra starts off with 2 hyper supers as well as 4 little helpers that speed up her damage a bit. She takes an eternity to reload though, and this slows her super dropping rate somewhat. She still wins in under 20 seconds and this puts her in 30th place. Gene kind of cheated, I gotta admit. He pulls the bot closer to the swarm and he activates a Vengeful Spirits gadget and fires it a bunch of times, all hitting the big bot. Granted, it's not all that much damage anyways, but it saved it from taking longer than a minute. Gene gets 83rd place. Max had to find the balance to run back and forth to maximize her reload speed, but the only thing that deals damage is her regular attack, so she was here for quite a while. Once she finally finished, she ended up in 67th place. Mr. P cheated, but in the most satisfying way possible. Here's the clip. As you can imagine, this really fast time put him in the top 10. Sprout used 2 hyper supers at the start, but the second one was used specifically to knock the bot back into the initial hyper super. This allows an additional 2500 damage per second, but Sprout's time still left him in 61st place. Byron has to keep his distance so he doesn't accidentally splash himself, because that would lower his damage. He's able to execute a pretty steady takedown on the bot, but it still takes him over 42 seconds and he gets 69th place. Squeak is able to double dip his hyper super, and this lets him do a lot of damage on the boss. In the end, he gets to land 3 hyper supers on the bot before his hypercharge expires, but that's more than enough for him to bring down the boss in under 10 seconds. He gets in the top 10. Lou freezing the boss doesn't really help him that much, so he has to just slowly expend all of his offense on the bot for a slow output. He has to endure a painstaking 46 seconds of attacking, and this time dumps him in 77th place. Ruffs pushes the bot up against the wall as he starts in order to allow more airstrike missiles to hit the bot. After that, he remains aggressive, pushing the bot around until its demise in a time fast enough to give Ruffs the 50th spot on the leaderboard. Buzz has just a long continuous strain of attacks, lowering the bot's health all the way till it's gone. Nothing too special happened here. He took a bit over 31 seconds to end it and he got 54th place. Fang kinda struggled a bit though. Some popcorn hit but most didn't, and he just had to spam his kicks and supers and everything onto the boss to fully bring it down. Surprisingly, he took over 36 seconds to complete the task and he ended up in 62nd place. Eve had a lot of help here with the seemingly endless swarm of mini parasites that poison a non-living robot to death. I kind of expected her to do it faster, but she still did pretty good as her 23-second trial got her 39th place overall. Janet had a pretty fun approach here. She cycled between hyper supers and regular supers with room for a few attacks in between. Her regular supers were expertly aimed so that she could cling to the wall to maximize output, but she still took over 43 seconds. This got her 72nd place. Otis uses an extra projectile with each regular attack, and since his attacks do over 4,000 damage each ammo, he's able to power through the boss's health with somewhat few attacks. However, his reload speed is what gets to him as he takes almost 37 seconds, landing in 63rd place. Buster has only one thing to do, and that's just spam his attacks. There's nothing he can do to deflect into the bot, so he just keeps his closest range possible while he unloads all of his attacks. Buster does it in 67 seconds and he got 84th place. Gray was in a very similar spot to Buster. He doesn't really have very effective abilities when it comes to taking on large hit point targets, so he just spammed his attacks and occasional pianos to bring down the bot. He landed in 82nd place. RT immediately split in half and then dealt over 8,000 damage per attack. This was super fun to do and watch, but his reload speed was the biggest obstacle RT faced. He still won in under 26 seconds, getting him 45th place. Willow takes an eternity to get the job done. Her super is capable of very little damage on this target, and other than that, she's known for having one of the slowest damaging attacks overall, so she really does get punished here. She takes over 72 seconds and this time puts her in 87th place. Doug gets an occasional damage boost with some of his attacks, but other than that, he's kinda like Jackie where he takes a long time to bring down the bot. Overall, he takes nearly a minute and he gets 81st place. Chuck is able to spam supers and speed through the bot over and over, and it was kind of entertaining to watch. He's able to keep a pretty fast flow of super uses throughout his trial, and this allows him to kill the bot in 23 seconds, which puts him in 37th place. Charlie starts off doing a quarter of the bot's health with a cocoon, but unfortunately she can't expedite the process and has to wait. After that, she surrounds it with spiders and spams attacks until the boss falls. She takes over 26 seconds and gets 47th place. Miko starts off with hyper attacks and a hyper super, but from there he runs out of breath and takes a while to jump. This long wait made him take over 41 seconds, and Miko ended up in 68th place. Melody, in the least sus way possible, wraps herself around the big bot and thanks to her hypercharge, gets a nice little bonus with her damaging notes. Thanks to this ability, she can do 100,000 damage in under 16 seconds, and this puts her in 21st place. Lily simply just spams attacks and supers all the way through until the bot is taken down. It was quite a fun process too. As great as she looks though, Lily ended up in 48th place overall. Clancy doesn't even struggle to win. Even after all of the nerfs since its release, Clancy's super is kinda busted and it just brings down the entire bot without hesitation, and doing so in under 6 seconds puts Clancy in the top 10. Mo is able to recharge his super pretty quickly thanks to his gadget, and because of this he gets a fresh new drill to use every few seconds. Overall, Mo takes roughly 25 seconds and he ends up in 43rd place. Juju and Grigri don't really have any fancy tactic, they just make sure she's standing on pavement and hitting the bot as hard as they can. She still takes over 32 seconds to do 100,000 damage, and that puts Juju in 57th place. Ollie does a whole lot worse though. He's too tanky and not really offensive, and his hypnotizing capabilities don't actually do anything on a passive bot. Because of this, Ollie takes a minute and a half and he ends up in 89th place. Lumi is one I certainly tried a few times, and I found out that it works best for her to have mid-range as you see here, because it allows her to use her regular attacks much faster despite the super doing slightly less damage. With this positioning, Lumi beats the bot in 18 seconds, and she was the one who tied with Daryl for 28th place. Binks is able to use a well-timed gadget to sneak a little bit of extra ammo, but after the initial one, it was hard to actually get the timing right. But this trial serves as pretty nice proof that Binks needed some sort of buff, I guess. He did the challenge in like 31 seconds, and this put him in 53rd place. Spike did exactly what you expected him to. Given that the bot has a huge hitbox, he's able to land all projectiles onto the bot itself and just do massive damage. He got plenty of supers off and did it in 7.5 seconds, and he scored in the top 10. Crow also did the exact thing I know you've tried before. Just click 3 hyper supers and watched 100,000 become 0. He did so in 2.5 seconds, and this amazing time put Crow in the top 10. Leon probably did a lot worse than you think. Although he does amazing damage, his attack is the only thing that actually does work for him, and because of this he ends up taking 45 seconds to finish, and this puts him in 73rd place overall. And next we have Sandy. He pretty much always does awful at these kind of things, and today Sandy made me suffer through a minute and a half of him trying to do some damage. As you can imagine, this put him well towards the bottom. Sandy got 88th place. Amber took a piece of Melody strat, and aside from that, she kept lighting the bot on fire. Or ice, I guess. And her 28.75 second time put her in 52nd place. Meg stays all close and personal, and this camera angle will make sense to you shortly, so just bear with me. She deletes the bot in 17.7 seconds, getting 26th place, and then goes to show off the insane range of her hyper arm. Look at that. Surge takes quite a moment to find the right spot, but once he does so, it gets so much more satisfying as he does close to 10,000 damage per attack. Once he gets himself to this spot, he speeds up his attempt to take it down in 24 seconds, and this puts him in 41st place. Chester comes next, and luck doesn't really matter for him for the duration of his Hyper Super. Unfortunately though, all of those attacks at once still managed to take a while. This trickster completed the task in 18 seconds and got 29.5th place. Cordelius comes next, where constant Shadow Realming did him a favor because it speeds up his attack's reload speed. That and combo shrooms enabled him to eliminate the bot in under 35 seconds, and this put him in 60th place. Hit just had to sit there and claw the bot until it was gone, with nothing he could do to speed up his trial. With that being said, he took about 46 seconds to win, and by win, I mean he got 76th place overall. Draco marks the bot initially, and after that, remains in his super form for the remainder of his trial. He's able to do pretty solid damage, especially when each super used just restores his ammo, and the constant flow of flame put Draco in 35th place. And finally, we have Kenji. I've been doing this video for a long time now, and instead of commentary on the Brawler, I just wanted to remind you to use code Jimbo and maybe subscribe or something, I don't know. Kenji got 65th place. Can't wait to see this clip as a short. Thank you very much for sticking to the end, and here's the top 10 leaderboard. See ya!